Welcome back to Slam Presents Hoop Ties with Ahmad K. Smith. I am the one and only. We have a very, very special guest, Ekam from Ball Don't Stop. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Where are you located?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
Vancouver, Canada, man. Did you grow
Yeah.
up a Toronto Raptors fan, or what are you?
So like we had the Grizzlies, right? Because
Yeah.
we had the Grizzlies from like 95, 96,
Mm.
97, 98. So we grew up in that era where
Uh,
we were introduced to basketball through the Vancouver Grizzlies. And then, by the time we were old enough to really consume it, we couldn't really claim a team. Like
right.
The Raptors were on the other side of the country. We had a hockey rivalry. Then, there was supposed to be a basketball rivalry. So it was kind of awkward. We didn't start claiming the Raptors till that new generation of fans came in. So that's where
Mhm.
for me personally, it was more so just West Coast teams. Like I was always rooting for obviously Kobe and the Lakers, but
Right.
Portland and Seattle, and then Seattle went away. So that's when really we had to claim the Raptors is when the Sonics went away because we didn't have a
Mhm.
team really.
Yeah. At least you had a team. I'm from St. Louis, so I
Oh
didn't have no
shit.
team. Yeah, I just grew up a straight pure basketball fan, so no
Yeah,
team
yeah.
really. It was
No,
just kind of like
same with me. Are you in New York right now?
I'm in Jersey, yeah. Yeah,
Dope.
in Jersey.
Dope.
So, it was kinda like when I moved out here in Jersey in, like, 2016, it was like that was the first time I had, like, a team. I kinda gravitated towards the Brooklyn Nets, but still, even then, it's just like, when you don't grow up with a team, you just become a fan of the game, you know what I'm
Same.
saying?
Same.
So, I wanna ask you, like, how did you get your like, what started your love for the game of basketball?
Man, I was like, we were second generation Canadians. We were we were first generation Canadians actually. So like our parents came from, Punjab, that's in India, and like
Mhm.
they immigrated in Canada, and like at that time no one really introduced us to the game. Our parents didn't know what it was. So we saw it on TV, we saw Vince Carter, we fell in love with the game through Michael Jordan, the aftermath of Michael Jordan, I'm 29, so
Yeah.
I was like, we were obviously in the Jordan era, but like we didn't witness it like that. We had to study it.
Mhm.
But in that early 2000s boom of basketball, just coverage and just seeing Vince Carter on TV, feeling the grit Steve Francis had left us. So like that's when I got into the game. And, for me, it was more so about playing it. I played basketball
Yeah.
my whole life, from a young age. I was 6 years old. I remember we went to Canadian Tire, got a hoop because my neighbors used to play basketball. I wanted to play. And from there on out, I was just working on my game every single day. I remember I was 6, 7 years old, just trying to like set random targets. Like I'm going to hit 200 shots today from in front of the hoop. And like, in
Yeah.
those little moments, I became kind of like a lover of the game, but also I wanted to become really good at the game. And
Right.
that's when I started really studying the greats, reading Slam magazine,
Mhm.
reading Sports Illustrated, and really consuming the game as much as possible and just soaking it up, trying to learn everything I could. And it started at a young age, man. For me, it started at a really young age. Up here in Canada, we have a lot of like Sikhs and a lot of the Indian guys, a lot of Punjabi guys. Like they really gravitated towards basketball, especially where I live. That became kind of like our sport. And
Yeah.
I was like eat, sleep, live, breathe the game.
No, that's real. I mean, that's kind of scary a little bit. That's a similar story to me. Growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, like basically, I played on the street. I couldn't
Yeah.
afford to. My mom was a stay at home mom, and my dad worked in construction, so I couldn't really afford to do AAU ball. You know what I'm saying? Because of that night, and even
Mhm.
as a youth, it was just kind of like me playing on the streets and stuff like that. It wasn't until like in high school where I played like on a team for the first time, and I was blessed enough to go to a Division III college. And
So
ever since then, it was just kind of like just following the game, breathe, sleep, live basketball and things of that nature. But I want to really get into it. Enough background stories.
yeah, yeah.
um, we're in the playoffs right now, but
Mhm.
I really want to talk to you and ask you, like, how do you feel about the state of the game? Like, where's the state of the game at right now? Because everybody's happy, enjoying the playoffs. But I feel like overall, though, it's just like I was just waiting to get to the playoffs because the regular season the past few years hasn't been, what we grew up accustomed to seeing for us. Like guys just playing hard, competitive matchups, head to head matchups matter and stuff like that. So where do you feel like the state of the game is heading or right now in general?
I mean, exactly what you feel like, man. Like, the regular season for me, even just covering the game and obviously, still loving the game, but it hasn't been as entertaining for me anymore. I don't, the regular season doesn't move me no more, man. And
Right.
a lot of that is because of the way it's played. A lot of it I speak on all the time is the analytics influence has spaced the game out to the point where, we're watching pickup basketball, at times in the regular season. and guys aren't being challenged. You see numbers are inflated more than ever. Stats are more inflated than ever. And you're seeing guys just being able to all world talents that the NBA was supposed to be the greatest challenge for the best basketball players in the world, right? You were supposed to be, that's the stage where guys that are the most elite in their craft to get tested to the final level. And I felt like that got eliminated when the preaching of space and pace and threes and layups came into play. It was like a glitch. You hijack, you kind of hacked, NBA basketball.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you stretch the floor and put five guys that can shoot the three on the court, yeah, you're gonna hit more points. You're gonna probably get more highlights. You're probably gonna get higher scores, and there's gonna be more of a social media conversation around the game just because of the numbers that come with that, just because of the
Yeah.
highlights that come with that, just because of the historical scoring nights that come with that. But what that did is it took away the grit, it took away the toughness, it took away the degree of difficulty. I feel like from NBA basketball because we used to watch it, especially like guys like us and the era before us, even more so. It's like you know the NBA has become kind of watered down in the regular season now. Looking at it, for us it was like a gift and a curse. We saw some great basketball, but it
Yeah.
almost has like we see through what we're witnessing, and
Yeah.
in the regular season, we could kind of see through it. And for these new fans, younger fans, the game moves regardless, whether without our generation. But like, they're looking at this and it's like, they're thinking this is it. But we know what's happening here. So I was just dying for the playoffs to start, man. And
Yeah. Same.
I'm glad all the good teams got in, and now we're watching real basketball all of a sudden, and you're seeing guys right away their efficiency drops. They're
Mhm.
they're we're having to work harder for points. We're not seeing 45-point explosions every other night, and this is what the regular season used to be. What you're witnessing
Yeah.
now is what
Yeah.
the regular season used to be every night in the NBA, dating back
Mhm.
even 8 years, 10 years, 12, 15 years. The degree of difficulty you see a guy like De'Aaron Fox have to go through now, the things that you see even a KD or a Devin Booker or Kawhi Leonard have to go through now, like this was the every single night of the NBA at one point. So it had us locked in year round, where it's like for me now, obviously I love the game and I consume it and I have an eye for the
Mhm.
game, so I could pick up easily on what's happening. But my
Mhm.
real consumption of the game starts pretty much right now, man.
Right. No, I definitely feel that. And it's crazy because, we talk about analytics a lot.
Mm.
But what analytics started to be a good thing, I feel like with social media and with like the coverage of the game, it kind of turned into a nightmare because even in college, with me, that's when I first kind of got introduced to analytics. We were using analytics to work on our games. A lot of people don't know that. It was kind of like I'm shooting on the left side of the basketball court from the season like 30%. How can I work on my game to improve that statistically? But now it's like analytics, everybody talks about the VORP and this and that. It's like it's the way it's coverage because there's a whole bunch of guys that kind of got into the game of basketball that really never played. And now all that consumption of analytics and of the stats and of the inflated numbers like you talked about, it kind of is like watered down the league. So I definitely agree. But what would you say? What are some ways you think that hypothetically the period of game can get really back into the game of basketball?
You're saying like the regular season?
Like the regular season. Because right now, as you said, basically the 50 is a new 40, the 40 is a new 30 right now in the
Yeah.
regular season. But
Yeah.
what do you think, like, if things can go back a little bit back to like the 2000s era a little bit, what do you think that the NBA should do to make it where the regular season is more of exciting and not this is
Yeah.
like
So
this
this
AAU
is
style
this is
ball?
yeah, yeah. So this is deep because like this influence of analytics is now the league. Like we could
Yeah.
complain about it all we want, but the front offices run on analytics.
Yeah.
So there's guys in the front office that dictate how a team's going to play based on equations, based on formulas, based on like an algorithm. And then what that's done is it's there's no, I don't think there's coming back from that now. And then just the fact
Right.
that that's there, it's going to be there always. So you almost
Mhm.
have to counter it with rules that would, probably be bring back a little bit of physicality because they're letting them play through it now, right? They're letting them play
Mhm.
through it as we speak in the playoffs. And you're seeing it. What it does is it wears down guards, it wears down the ball handler. It makes it a little bit
Yeah.
more challenging to get into your set. It makes it a little more challenging to break a man down in isolation. Also, what's happened is the court tightens when you allow that to happen. When you can kind of hand check a guy, I'm not saying scrap him like you did in the '90s, but I'm saying like
Yeah.
put your forearm on them a little bit, guide
Yeah.
them a little bit. What that does is it tightens everything because now you're not just free flowing, roaming around. The freedom of movement rule would have to get taken away. That's what we've seen now
Mhm.
in the season. It's like there's a freedom of movement. You touch a guy and it's a foul, so guys can't even really put their hand on anyone. And just that. First of all, I also think like if you really want to go back, they might have to visit. What is three in the key? Should we make it five in the key?
Yeah.
Like, like it sounds funny, but like, at least because then you're always going to have a big man at the rim, so
Mhm.
you always got to think twice. It just little things like that. And I think the shot clock as well, like, um, I think maybe adjusting the shot clock, like things like that could. It's tricky though, because the preaching of threes and layups and space and pace isn't going away, especially in the
Yeah.
regular season. It's getting guys paid, it's getting guys jobs. That is the game now. And that's the direction the world's going. But how do you counter that from a basketball standpoint? It's gonna have to be rule changes. It's gonna have to be bringing back some physicality, making it a little more harder, making scorers work a little bit more for their baskets.
No, I definitely agree. It'd be interesting. Would you say that probably I feel like in the early 2000s, and then even in the 90s, I feel like every team had their own identity. And right now,
Yeah.
like you said, it's pace and space right now, threes and layups. But do you feel like, and even, the league is a copycat league. Do you feel like if a team necessarily like goes big, goes back to like maybe traditional bigs or to playing two bigs and stuff like that, and maybe
Yeah.
starts seeing that team become dominant? Do you think maybe that's possibly a way
Yeah.
for,
I thought remember the Pelicans with Davis and Boogie? I
yeah,
thought I
yeah,
thought they had a chance to do something. Like I thought had they beat the Warriors that year,
hmm,
somehow it would have been tough, but they had the pieces to do something where it
yeah,
was like if they got deep and that's where the game ran through, it would have been something. I also think Joel Embiid has a situation now. If the
hmm,
Sixers were to become a dynasty somehow, you'd
yeah,
now have to bring in bruisers and bigs that can bang with Joel Embiid down low on the
hmm,
block. That would probably change things in the conference. But look, the game is slowing down in the playoffs. The game is
yeah,
slowing.
definitely.
The Sacramento Kings refuse to slow down, but everyone else is slowing down. I'm seeing for
Mhm.
the most part, right? And I think
Yeah,
if depending on if the Grizzlies or the Lakers, whoever comes out, I think it'll be interesting to see if someone can slow the Kings down. Can someone slow
right,
this Kings offense down? The
mhm,
Warriors aren't tailor made to slow them down. If anything, they enable them to go faster, play to
yeah,
their strengths. But I think like you said, to answer your question, I think things like that could happen, like where a big man runs down. I mean, shit. With the Lakers in 2020, they were kind of like that too. When they won with Anthony
yeah,
Davis and
yeah,
LeBron, because those guys were playing down low out of the block as well. So
yeah,
if you really think about it, though, the teams that are winning, you got last year, obviously Curry just went off and he broke that. But before that, Giannis, he was playing bully ball on the block. Before
yeah,
that, LeBron and Davis, there was a lot of bully ball on the block there.
yeah,
You had before that, 2019, Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors were playing a very traditional basketball game. They had
yeah,
their own identity. They're playing in the mid range. Marcus Gasol was in the low block. And I feel like it's there, but it's just like how many teams are really gunning for a championship? That's the real question, right?
that is a real question. That's definitely because these days GMs are basically in the front office. They're basically accountants. These guys are just figuring out ways how to like maneuver the salary cap. How can we save
That's
money?
it.
So the game is not. You got about six teams probably compete for a championship.
That's the
But
thing.
but we talked about you brought up the Kings for a second. Talk to me about what's going on against the Golden State Warriors and kind of just the current playoffs. Like, who do you feel like has a chance to go really far in the playoffs this upcoming year?
Yeah, man, this has been interesting, and that this era of basketball we're entering now is really cool because a lot of parity. We can't really predict who's going to make it out. My
Yeah.
picks, my picks right now are, I think, if I had to pick right now, I think Phoenix will grind out and it'll be tough, but I think if they're healthy, they should get to the finals. I
Mm.
think they're going to meet Boston there. I think those are the two teams we're going to see there in the finals. I do think the Sixers have a chance to shock someone. But as far as the Kings go, man, like they've in that Warriors series, you're seeing a younger version of the Warriors, a more
Mhm.
athletic version of the younger Warriors coming at you, and the Dubs don't have a way to slow them down because they don't have anyone that could control the glass. They don't have anyone that can prevent them from getting out and running. They don't have anyone that can
Yeah.
anchor their defense and
No.
prevent easy layups and things like that. So the Kings are having a field day. They're getting whatever they want. And the Dubs are just like an older version of that, and you could just see it in their legs and their body language. They're fatigued. Andrew Wiggins just came into the playoffs. He looked
Mhm.
fatigued last game because it's all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you're running up
Track
and
meet.
down with this juggernaut. And
Mhm.
Curry as well. Like I'm seeing Curry, a lot of his shit is rushed. He's looking a little bit, almost at times frazzled by this because it's like, okay, here we are, we're sprinting up and down. Now I got to launch a three from 30 feet with a guy in my grill. It's a very, very taxing brand of basketball to defend, and I think the Warriors, I thought the Warriors are going to win the series. They're still my pick, but um, it's tough, man. It's tough.
No, I definitely think it's tough. I think what's going on with the Golden State Warriors is, like you said, the speed and the pace that the Kings are playing right now is crazy to say, but maybe too much for the Golden State Warriors. And the Golden State Warriors, historically, they kind of play with speed. But I think if the Warriors want to come back and win this series, I think they got to slow things down. Like, what are the Warriors good at? Half court passing the ball. Like, they're always been one of the best passing teams. That's why they became a dynasty. But now it's just like you're playing the fast pace with the Kings, and you don't really have any perimeter defenders. It's just
Yeah.
like that's a recipe for a disaster. But you talked about the Phoenix Suns a little bit. You said they're your pick to go to the finals. I'm not mad at it. The only concern I have with the Phoenix Suns is their depth. I'm looking at some of the minutes that these guys are playing, and we know Kevin Durant has been, to me, I think he's still, if not the best basketball player in the world, top three. But it's kind of like injuries with the amount of minutes they're playing right now and the lack of depth do they have. Why do you feel like they can go to the finals?
Yeah, so I feel like you're right. The depth is the issue, but I also feel like they haven't tapped into it. There's Damian Lee, there's T.J. Warren, there's campaigns hurt right now. There's they have guys. They just really more so Terrence Ross. Like for some reason, those guys aren't seeing the floor as much as I think they could, and I think they could contribute if they are out there, right? This team was made on the fly. This team was made on, we're witnessing now. This team really get into who they are,
Mhm.
and I think it's probably harder for Monty Williams to put those guys in right away and get them familiar with each other, right? They don't really have a continuity yet. The main focus was how do we maximize Kevin Durant in this system, and I think they're doing it because they're bringing him off the ball. They're making ways for him. They're finding ways for him to contribute on the fly, not just contribute, dominate on the fly with Devin Booker, and maximize that 1-2 punch. Because at the end of the day, superstars are the ones that win you chips, right? So they're
Yeah.
focused on their meat and potatoes, and I think that right there is a lethal combo. I saw Booker last night. He went for damn near 38 or 40, and
No.
Durant was still, he's still putting it all together. You could tell that he's getting his timing and his legs back.
Mhm.
Just their dynamic of they can go from isolation ball to ball movement, drive kick to motion offense. Then they could come back the next set down, and it's a pick and roll with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. So they got a very, very dynamic mix, and that becomes very hard to defend, especially when you're already conditioned as a team now to guard just drive kick and threes and layups, right? You're all of a
Right.
sudden now having to deal with a real squad that's killing you with so many different recipes. When your legs are fatigued, when when your body is tired and mentally you're just beat up, they're coming at you with a few different weapons. And this is still with Kevin Durant catching a stride. I just think when that starting unit with Chris Paul, Ayton, Durant, and Booker do hit a stride together, and they do tap into who they're supposed to be, it's going to be very, very draining to defend, and they're going to be able to
Yeah.
blow some teams out in key games. Their depth is obviously an issue, but look, man, I think I like this because no team is perfect, right? The
Right.
championships weren't ever meant to be won on perfection. Obviously, certain teams have done that over these last 10 years, but this is the challenge that they have. Can you overcome that, right?
Mhm.
So that there's a beauty in that as a fan to see that, like, okay, is this starting five going to really get it done, right?
No, I definitely agree, and it's interesting because, like you said, Kevin Durant is still getting his reps in. He's getting his flow back from coming off his injury. But I feel like with Devin Booker, like Devin Booker, people talking about, oh, Devin Booker's the second option. I don't look at Devin Booker as the second option. Devin Booker is a number one. They got two number ones with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And I feel like with
Absolutely.
Devin Booker right now, it's just like until Kevin Durant gets up to speed, I like Devin Booker just like having that mentality, like, yo, this is still my team.
Me
I can
too.
lead us until Kevin Durant gets, his rhythm, stuff like that. And then we really can go. then it really can get very, very scary.
Yeah, like Devin Booker could see the casuals find this hard to believe because they're so conditioned to just base everything on resumes and accolades and career
yeah,
numbers and status in the league. Well, no shit, Kevin Durant's, arguably a top 10 player of all time. He's
yeah,
gonna have that resume. He's gonna by default look at the as his team, look at this as his team. But this is Devin Booker's show too, and this is a guy
yeah,
that could win finals MVP. Devin Booker, if you go into finals and KD's drawing doubles and the game plan divert changes, like he could fuck around and win the finals MVP. There's no, in today's game where teams are scoring 130, there's no first, second option when you get elite guys like this. It's 1A,
yeah.
1B. It's whoever has it, whatever direction the game goes, whatever the defense forces you to take.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw Devin Booker go back to back 40 points in the finals. So I don't
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I really don't understand why people feel like it's he's a second
Right.
option because Kevin Durant is the name. It's just like with
Yeah.
the Golden State Warriors. They had Kevin Durant, they had Stephen Curry. They both co-led the finals. Kevin Durant was the
Mhm.
best player, but it
Yeah.
was still like 1A, 1B. It didn't really
Same
matter.
thing. That's every elite team, bro. Every elite team had that combo. Kobe, Shaq, Braun, Braun with Kyrie and Braun with AD, same dynamic, right? Like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
we just see him go, right? At the end of the day, who holds up the finals MVP trophy is irrelevant. The defense ain't thinking about, oh my God, he's the first option. We're not gonna
mhm.
worry about the second option. Like, you know, like that's not how basketball's played. It's a team game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I want before we get into this next segment, I want to talk a little bit about ring culture. I feel like, what do you feel like? Why has ring culture kind of been so toxic and kind of contribute to all the narratives, all the conversation, and all the kind of like nonsense that we see, especially from like the mainstream media. It's like guys like me, we're independent. So it's just
Yeah.
like the people that get paid the big bucks to talk basketball and stuff like that, ring culture, ring culture, ring culture, but they can't really explain to you what's going on in the basketball game. They really can't tell you about the feel of the game. They can't tell you about the flow of the game. So
Yeah, yeah. I think ring culture is it's gone too far. It's gotten nasty. Like ring culture started with like the coverage around LeBron, right? Because
yeah, definitely.
when he was young, and you know what's crazy? I was talking to a player the other week, right? And I was like, he was an older player. I was like, dude, you guys didn't even give a shit about rings like that. Like there was three guys really trying to win rings in your era. It was Kobe, it was Duncan, it was probably like, Garnett, and those guys were obviously gunning for it. But like the emphasis wasn't on rings. You didn't turn on the TV and hear about Iverson needs to win a ring or it's the death of his legacy. Or, Vince Carter or Tracy McGrady got to win a ring or it's the death of their legacy. You didn't hear that shit. Of course, it was like, it was held against them in moments. Maybe you'd hear it twice
Yeah,
a year, but it
yeah,
wasn't the topic of conversation every single day.
yeah,
This started when mainstream hoops media blew up. Obviously, you had the first takes, with Skip and Stephen A. And LeBron became a target of that because like he was always measured up to Michael Jordan, right? He had to go win
yeah,
six. It was just a storyline, and then it was cool and all. It got taken to an extreme now, right? Here we are in 2023, and LeBron had to, again, there's probably pressure on LeBron at that time too. Like, if this is, because that time media still had credibility, I feel like, where it was like, they want me to win rings. Okay, I got to go win rings.
yeah,
Before we entered this clickbait, age of like, coverage, it was like media actually had that value where if someone critiqued you, you took it seriously,
right,
and LeBron made that move to Miami. And from there on out, it was always just like, oh, this doesn't count or that doesn't count. Like it
yeah,
just became messy. And now we're in this era now where it's like that on
yeah,
steroids times 1,000. So
mhm,
it's toxic. It's stupid. It doesn't
yeah,
have shit to do with an individual's ability. My eye test tells me Iverson's one of the 10 coldest hoopers I've ever seen in my life.
mhm,
Now, he don't have a ring. Does that discredit him? No, he's
no,
still one of the
no,
coldest 10 guys to ever step on a court. And you
yeah,
could go ask his peers and the guys that he played against how scary it was to guard him. I guarantee you it was scarier than certain guys that won chips. I
mhm,
guarantee you it was scarier than, you know, guarding guys at his position that won multiple chips.
yeah,
So obviously it's a team game and the goal is to win championships. But if you're not in a position to consistently win them, you ain't gonna win them. And
yeah,
I feel
yes,
like the game became individualized, right? It's a team game. The way the game is being spoken on, it sounds like individuals win rings. No, they don't. The NBA is not a one-on-one tournament. It's 12 moving pieces on a team, a front office that's intact, that knows what they're doing, that's motivated to win. And realistically speaking, there's only real fucking 5 or 6 teams like that in the league. So Going into the season, man, there's really like check the box. How many really have a chance to go win a chip?
Yeah,
I mean, five, six, maybe. So that's it. This
yeah.
ring culture shit is stupid. Of course, championships matter. When you talk about the absolute upper echelon, they do matter. They matter the most,
Yeah.
but there's got to be context.
No, I agree because his team situation is everything. Like you look at Damian Lillard,
Yeah.
Dame. Everybody wants Dame to leave. I think Dame should leave, of course. But like to go get a ring, I mean, it's just like he's never really been in a position. If you really, if be honest, has Dame really been in a position to win a
Nah, he
championship?
hasn't, bro. He hasn't.
So it's just
He hasn't.
like the whole conflict of like, okay, well, Dame should go join a super team. Dame should go do this. He should do that. I can understand it, but at the same time, as a guy that grew up with a franchise, if you really never been in a position to win a championship, but you're in a franchise where it's your team, it's your city, you are that guy. That means more to some players than just saying like, "Yo, I want
Yeah.
to go win a ring and join a super team and stuff like that." Because
Right.
even if you do that, like look at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, I feel like he went to the Golden State Warriors because the conversation was around it, like, "Yo," he said, "Of course, I like the way they played." But he also knew like, yo, I need to win a ring because everybody's talking about rings. And then he went and got rings, and now it's just like they're saying his rings don't count.
Right. It's just toxic, right? And it's like
No.
every championship we've seen won in the last 5 years, and it's because like stupidity on social media, kids behind burners, and just
AVs,
troll.
player AVs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Troll and player
Yeah.
AV culture, like they're gonna discredit anything, and anything can just get viral and get taken out of context and cling with the player. So we're in an unhealthy age of coverage, man. It's kind of stupid. It's dumbed the game down even more. But like, guy wins, okay, it doesn't count. Like how many rings in the last 5 years haven't counted? It feels like they've discredited everything.
Yeah, definitely. What I want to do now, Akum, is basically we know in the regular season when we talk about the game of basketball and how your top 10 lists and all these things of that. But we know in the postseason, some of those guys that people put on the upper echelon, we talk about the best player in the world, or this guy's top three, top four, top five.
Yeah, yeah.
It's probably about 8, 9, 10 guys that you probably would rather go to war with in the playoffs over these same guys that's putting up these crazy numbers and stats. So I don't know if you want to do this like I want to know like who are the top 10 guys you want to go to war with and you pick a player, I pick a player,
Okay.
or do you want to do it like this? Maybe we pick the top 10 guys to go to war with, and then maybe we pick one of each for the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and then maybe like the future, like who we feel like two guys in the future that you want to go to war with the most. It's up to you.
I like the first one where you pick one, I pick one.
Okay, that's fine.
Are we talking active or are we talking all
No,
time?
we talking. That's what I'm saying. We're talking. It's up to you. We can do active. We can do all time.
Let's do
You can
active.
pick.
Let's do active.
Let's do active. Okay, definitely. So the first guy I want to know, like who playoff start is here right now. Who's the first guy that you want to go to war with to lead your team to a championship?
Yeah, I don't
So
I don't
you
know if I don't know if he's the first guy, but like off top of my
okay?
head, one of the first guys, if I were to go into this situation, would probably be Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, okay. Talk about it.
Just a dog. When the game slows
Yeah,
down, he can hit you with the mid range. He can score the ball. He can defend your best player. He's going to hustle. He's going to ignite your defense. He's going to ignite your offense. He's going to ignite you as a team mentally and get you locked in. When you watch Jimmy Butler, if you're his teammate, you got to be inspired to play hard. Uh,
yeah,
he could play through contact. He could play through physicality. He could go in the post. He could go around the rim. And also on top of that, he can make shots. You saw him last year go off for 48 in a game, and it was just ridiculous.
yeah,
Um, his scoring touch has improved a lot. So, but I mean, the guy is just a fighter. You go into a dog fight. If Jimmy Butler's on your side, you're excited.
yeah. I'm not mad at that. I mean, look at what he did in the NBA Finals
Yeah,
2020. Averaged damn near triple double. Was trying to
yeah,
will the Miami Heat against the Los Angeles
yeah.
Lakers. Um, a guy I would pick is a guy that is getting his first taste of postseason basketball since 2021 is Kawhi Leonard. Three-level
Mm,
scorer, another guy that's I feel like doesn't care about the regular season, doesn't care about the All NBA selection. This guy wants to win championships. He wants to compete. He wants to play hard.
always.
A magician at the second level of the basketball court, and also he can defend. We see him right now when he's defending Kevin Durant. He's making it hard for him. So that's my first pick. Who's your second?
Man, I mean, after that, I'd probably go LeBron, obviously, because he's just so seasoned. Why not? I
Right.
think we're going to witness that right now. He's going to hit a stride and he's just going to tap into LeBron James. And it's like,
Mhm.
LeBron and KD, they got to be in this because the seasoned, right? They're seasoned vets. They're
Yep.
champions. They've been in, they've done that. They've seen dynasties. They've defended dynasties. They've gone up against Hall of Famers. They've gone up against the Tim Duncans and the Kobe Bryants and in playoff series. And they've gone up against, the Dirk Nowitzkis and some of the most veteran teams. LeBron went up against the Pistons. LeBron's seen it all, done it all. So you
Mhm.
have to go with LeBron because if you're an opponent like the Memphis Grizzlies probably are right now, they're scared in a 7-game series. When shit slows down, all that
Yeah.
regular season talk goes out the door. You're still
Yeah.
dealing with LeBron James, whether he's 38 or not. Coming at you for 7 games,
Mhm.
scary stuff.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I mean, gotta pay homage to the legends. We got the last. We talk about MJ. We talk about Kobe, of course. It's LeBron and it's Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Like these guys are on their way out, but they're still so dangerous. And that's
Yeah,
number two for me would be Kevin Durant, of course. I feel like the most portable player probably of all time, in my opinion. Like you
yeah.
drop Kevin Durant off in any offense, any system, I think he's going to dominate. I think he's going to make an
Any era.
impact any era. So I feel like Kevin Durant was 55. What was it 55, 49? The first player ever do that. People want to talk about, oh, he didn't play games. There's a lot of players that ain't playing games, so it really don't matter. A pure scorer, and got to go with KD. Give me
Yeah.
another one.
I'm gonna
Give me another one,
go.
Ekam.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Giannis just because his motor, his aggression, how hard he plays, how he defends. When he's on the court, your team's guaranteed to get deep. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the Milwaukee Bucks have gone deep repeatedly, but they don't. He doesn't have that co. I mean, no disrespect to Drew, but he doesn't have that co megastar by his side. He
Yeah.
has he has co all stars in Middleton and Drew, but he don't have that Anthony Davis or Devin Booker or
Mm-hmm.
Paul George or Kyrie or a guy like that by his side, and I think that speaks volumes on it because he's just always able to will you there because of his motor. And
Mm-hmm.
let's see, he needs to get back right. Like the Bucks ain't gonna get out of the series if he don't get back.
Yeah.
So him for
What do
sure,
you?
man.
No, he's a tank. I mean, he's a dual for a guy that does everything on the basketball court. I think he's improving. I know you always talk about skill set and things of that nature, but availability is the best ability, but also like production. Like we may not like the way he gets his
Oh,
points and
he gets it though.
but
Oh, he gets it.
he gets it. It's like shit. What can you really say?
45 and 15. What do you say?
Yeah, it can't really it can't really say anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Next one, I'll probably say Stephen Curry. I think he's going to have to be phenomenal. I think he's going to have to be amazing to get the Golden State Warriors to win this series. I mean, he's revolutionized the game. He's changed the game forever. He's kind of one of the reasons why we talk about threes and layups. This analytic boom is a little bit
Yeah.
because of Steph, but that still doesn't take away from his greatness and take away from his impact. And also what he did last year against the Boston Celtics. I mean, that was phenomenal. That was special. They were down 2-1. He basically said,
Oh yeah.
get the
Oh
ball
yeah.
to me. I'm gonna put y'all on my back. I'm gonna take y'all to the promised land. So
He
we
took
have
it
to
there.
mention Stephen Curry. Give me another one.
How many are we at? Are we at
We
six?
had we had six, so we got two more apiece. We got seven, eight, yeah, six. Yeah, two
Four
more
more
apiece. We
picks, right?
doing
Two more
yeah,
picks each.
two more picks each. Yeah,
Uh
it's
see,
tough
like
because you get down to the nitty gritty. Now we got the guys that most people don't, especially Kawhi and like Jimmy Butler.
no.
We got to the legends. Now it's getting down to like who you got.
No, I'm gonna say Dame Lillard, but the problem with this is that I haven't got a chance to see him on that stage, but I know what he'd bring. I'll never
Mhm.
forget game 5 of the 2020. He's not in the playoffs this year, but I'll never forget
Yeah,
game
it's
5 of the
fine.
2021 Nuggets series. Like you you look at that Dame Lillard, the shots he was making in that 55
Mhm.
point game. You look at Damian Lillard on his greatest nights in the playoffs, even the game 1 against the Lakers,
Yeah,
and it's an absolute nightmare. It's a problem to guard, and he just has that willpower and that aggression where it's like you put him on the court with anyone that's on his caliber. I don't see how he wouldn't go to the finals. I don't see how Dame Lillard wouldn't make
yeah,
the NBA finals with a KD by his side, a LeBron by his side, a AD by his side, a Giannis by his side. We haven't got
yeah.
to see him rock out on that stage, but his
Mhm.
game, his mentality, his will, the way I've seen it, we've seen him kind of knock on the door. We've seen him have historical playoff games,
Yeah.
but I would love to see him get in that situation this summer, man. And then we could really see what it's about. I know Dame Lillard on those lights, he ain't going to fold. He's going to put up some of his best performances.
I mean, he's a rare breed. We talk about 4-level scorer, a guy that can basically, as soon as he comes past half court, he can let it fly. Other than Stephen Curry and Trey Young on some nights, it's not too many guys with that type of range. So I definitely feel that.
Mhm.
Another guy I'm gonna say for my number fourth one is a guy that he came out this year. He kind of said like, "Yo, I know I can't win a championship being the number one option," but I felt like his whole career, like he proved that he could win a championship, maybe not right now, but like his whole career, he kind of proved that. And that's Paul George. I think Paul George is, I had T Mac on a old podcast. We were talking about it. I think, and he even agreed. I basically said Paul George has the greatest handle from a small forward position the three has ever seen in this league. And he was like, yeah, yeah. And that's T Mac, so that's the respect that Paul George commands. I feel
Yeah.
like he took people don't talk about it, but he took the Los Angeles Clippers to their first ever
Yeah.
Western Conference Finals appearance, and then we
Mhm.
know what he did against prime LeBron James as well.
He's been to
So
3 conference finals, you're right, and,
yeah,
people don't like certain guys, bro, like, it's just like people don't like them as much, like, the way the internet presents them,
yeah,
they're hated on, and it's like you almost dismiss, like, real facts, and it's like, you're right, bro, like, he's been to 3 conference finals, he's been up against series against LeBron, Wade, where he held his own, he's been in series against, some of the best players to ever play the game, and he's held his own, so I could
yeah.
see that, he's had bad series too,
Of course, everybody
but
has though. You can talk to
everyone
any you
has
can
though, right?
any it's probably any player historically, even if you rank them in the top 3, top 5, whatever. I can go back and look at LeBron James having a bad series in
All
the
these
NBA
guys we
Finals.
just named have had a
Kobe,
bad series.
yeah, yeah. You other than probably the GOAT, Michael Jordan. That's probably the
Yeah,
only guy I can't really say like, yo, shit, Michael really
yeah,
had a bad series in the highest level for us, like the finals or anything. But
yeah.
I'm not mad at it. You want last one?
So you're saying go to war. Coming to war means availability. You're always going to be there. You're
Yeah,
going to play through fatigue. You're going to play through fouls. You're going to play through adversity. You're going to play through no help. You're going to play with help. When you say that, man, who I got? I had Katie. I know I had Giannis, LeBron.
Ron.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I had who's my first guy?
Yeah, you had Giannis, LeBron, you had Dame, you had Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. So I need another guard, man. That's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I'm gonna go Donovan Mitchell. I think, yeah, Donovan Mitchell, man. From the
Yeah.
moment that he's coming to the league, I felt like that was a championship level player. I got the
Mhm.
feeling I got to watch Donovan Mitchell is the same feeling I had when I watched the young D Wade, and it was
Yeah.
felt like this is a guy that you could just he's gonna will you there eventually. He has championship attributes. He has championship pedigree, and he hasn't won yet, obviously, but he has that winner's mentality and he has that chip on his shoulder. He's always going to bring it. Like I can't go in a game and I'm thinking Donovan Mitchell ain't going to bring it. Like he might miss shots, he might have a bad shooting night, but he will
Yeah.
not stop attacking. And I love
Mhm.
that about him. And I think that's what makes him great. I think Donovan Mitchell, is similar to kind of like an Iverson in that fact where he's never going to stop shooting, never going to stop attacking, never going to stop forcing the issue. And I think that's very, very hard to defend. And I think he's done an incredible job on his body, and he's so conditioned to the fact that he could keep that going. He could keep that motor running year round and in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he's a playoff riser. This is a guy that came in as a rookie, was the best player as a rookie on the Utah Jazz, led them to the playoffs each and every
Yeah.
year, and still people were sitting up saying that Rudy Gobert was the best player on
Not,
a on a on
sorry.
a team. On a team. It's crazy
Nope.
because I don't think we have no bigs. That's crazy on the list. And I want to say a big, but I'm not because I'm a guy that I look at the game. It's just like if somebody has to kind of like get you the ball, I'm always going to roll with the guy that can kind of create their own offense and create their own shots,
Same.
also create for others. So it's
Same.
probably not going to be no bigs on the list. A player I'm gonna pick is still young, 25 years old, who's went to his first finals last year. I feel like this guy has the potential to be maybe the best player in the world someday. That's Jason Tatum. I think he's a
Mhm.
3-level scorer, a guy that can guard 1 through 4 in the basketball court, and a guy that we saw him last year. Other than Jimmy Butler, you can make the case that he had the best postseason run. We know what Steph Curry did in the finals, but overall postseason run, when we talk about first round, second round, third round, and we know what happened in the finals, but like he was very special. He's very phenomenal. He's super talented. So,
Man, that dude
um,
is out of the world, bro. He's got the tools that some of the greatest
rare,
players of
rare,
all time have ever had,
rare
man.
tools, rare
Yeah.
tools.
And now he's gaining the experience. So it's gonna get scary, right? Like when he's imagine when he's in year 7, 8, and he's already
Mm-hmm.
been this many conference finals. He's gonna
Yeah.
end up so seasoned and just
Mm-hmm.
so unafraid of the moment. Like he's bound to win a chip.
Yeah, he's tough. Last couple questions. I got two more questions, and then I'm gonna let you get out of here, Akam. Everybody knows you talk about pure hoopers and this and that nature. So I have to ask you, like,
Yeah, yeah.
who are your top three pure hoopers of all time? And you can even
You know,
explain the definition for some people to some fans that may not know what a pure hooper is. You know, I know, but like,
yeah,
explain to them what a true pure hooper is.
yeah. Can I give you six guys? Because I'm gonna separate the two, okay?
That's
Because
fine.
a pure hooper, right? Like there's at the end of the day, it's a guy that operates on skill. It's a guy that operates on a flow and a rhythm. They're natural basketball players. You could give them a ball fresh out of bed in the morning at 8 a.m. and they're going to go into their bag and cook. And they're going to go into their game and give you the absolute best of their ability, And, these are guys that are artists on the court. They operate kind of like they have a very unique flow to their game. They're probably not the most freakishly athletic. They don't
Hmm.
have the most physical tools. They're not dominant, imposing, but the way they play the game is through craftsmanship, is through understanding of angles, is through understanding of pace, and also understanding their, inabilities and figuring out their, body type and figuring out little minute details on the court and how to carve up a defense. So when you talk about superstars, and there's another element to a pure hooper. A pure hooper is a guy that you could take him to an NBA Finals, you could take him to a regular season game, you could take him to Rucker Park, you could take him to a FIBA setting, no matter where they are in the world. These are guys that are going to get down to business. They're going to play their game. And, they may not be the most outstanding statistically. They may not be the most outstanding accolades wise, but they're really going to cook. And they specialize in hooping. They specialize in basketball. They specialize in individual ISO ability. These are guys that you could take them on a court anywhere. You don't even have to enter the paint and they're going to give you 60, 60, 50. So I
Yeah,
got the way I do it is like there's NBA and then there's guys within the NBA that are just like they're not superstars. So
that's fine. Yeah, you can do two, two, and two, whatever you want. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So there's like the mega star pure hoopers that have that skill. Kyrie Irving, he's a guy that has that. I could take Kyrie Irving's NBA jersey off, his patch off, and put him in any jersey in the world. And I could look at that guy right there and say he's a basketball specialist, no matter
yeah.
what court you put him on, because of his
True
skill,
artist.
because of his understanding and awareness on the court, little angles, how to kiss it off the glass, how much touch to put on a floater, just how to break down a man. He could do it a million and one ways. So that right there for sure. He out of the
Yeah.
superstars is a pure hooper to me. I think the second guy that I don't put Kobe, Michael, and KD guys in this. Just the fact that they're mega humans.
Yeah, they surpass that. It's like
They
you have
surpass that.
yeah, you have like God tier like scores. Like I look at the same way. Like when you reach another level, it's just like we can't
Even
even
Braun,
include
bro.
you.
Even
Yeah, you can't
LeBron.
even include them. You
Yeah,
can't even include them. You
unfair,
can't even include those
unfair.
guys.
It's
It's
like
unfair.
they're
Yeah,
they're in a they're Goliaths of the sport. They're
yeah,
they're titans of the sport. So like they took they had they went beyond pure hooper. They took their preparation to levels where they became
yeah.
monsters. And
Mhm.
also they have physical tools. I would have to go, man, real talk. Like I would probably have to go Curry because
Yeah,
Stephen Curry, the way he plays the game, like to think about this, a guy took his handle and shooting ability to the moon, to the point where he's one of the greatest hoopers that's ever lived. When Steph Curry first came out, it was like that kid at the park, he had the baggy
yeah,
shorts, he was cooking. It looked like a kid playing at the street, having the time of his life and just toying with dudes. And just, he took what Steve Nash had to new heights. He took what all those great point guards had with their handle and shot making to new heights. And I think
yeah,
him for sure, he's a pure hooper for sure, bro. Just the flow that he plays the game with, the handles, the shot making, the runners, and he doesn't even have that much physical attributes in terms of explosiveness. Like
yeah.
he has to play the game in a very, very strategic
All
way.
skill. All
I think I want to say Iverson. Iverson comes off top of my head. Like there's three is tough, but Iverson out of the superstars, that guy was the purest hooper because I feel like he came into games. There's no warm up. There's no preparation. There's no studying the scouting
straight
report.
hoop, straight hoop. Just put
That's
the
it,
ball.
straight
Let's
hoop. And
tip
he
it
was
up.
going to
Yeah,
come down and he was not doing one move twice. It was creative as fuck. Every single time down the court, it was a different look. Every single time down the court, it was a different combo. Every single time down the court, he was carving you up a different way, whether it be 45-degree angle, left to right, bop,
Mhm.
jump shot, next possession down, he's at the top of the key, cross you up, finish. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy had the street game to the max. The guy brought it to the league. You
Playing
have to
in a
include him in this, bro.
playing in a tough defensive era too. I think that a lot of
Yeah.
people don't talk about that. Like,
Yeah,
and
man. Iverson was a guy like I read once, and someone confirmed this to me later. Like I interviewed him years later, but he was like, "Yo, bro, I didn't train like that. I didn't prepare
yeah,
like that. I didn't put up 1,000 shots a day. I just went to the game, driving on the way to the game. I would think this is the move I'm gonna use tonight." And I was like, "That shit is cold, bro. Like
yeah,
to do that."
it's
And
crazy.
people may say I'm biased because these are guards, but I would have to include a guy like I'm gonna add in a fourth for you right there. I'll probably include a guy you
Mhm.
named him, Paul George. He has that too.
Yeah,
He has that toolbox too, and it's like he just plays with that fluidity, and it's just so beautiful to watch. So then there's those guys. Those guys, the megastar, they have mass usage in the NBA. There's other
mhm,
pure hoopers though, bro. Like there's guys in the league now, but I mean, I'll give you random guys, like not random, but these are guys that you knew when they got on the court, it was their show. They were cooking. Jamal Crawford,
yeah,
Lou Will. I want to name a guy like a Monte Ellis. Like these were guys that were coming out the gate, fresh off the bench, just destroying dudes with their handle,
yeah.
cooking.
Brandon Jennings,
Brandon
shit,
Jennings, bro, you
man.
can't give me six. I can keep going on and on. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
shit. I mean, I'm gonna break your rule right now. I'll name more, bro. There's guys like Nate Robinson. There's guys like Isaiah
Mhm,
Thomas. There's guys like, you know, that just, even came off the bench, and there was random dudes that people may not recognize no more. But I remember
mhm,
guys like OJ Mayo, how they could toy with the defense. I remember guys like
mhm,
even Dion Waiters in moments, and to this day, a guy like Bones Highland, a guy like uh,
mhm.
you know, what's his name? Fred Van Vliet, like these are guys that all have that, man. They play that game. They made the NBA, but they made the NBA on specializing in very little details of basketball, man. So
Mhm.
those are the guys, bro. You could go on and on about this topic with me.
Nah, nah, definitely. I mean, I appreciate it.
We might have to do a top 50 pure hoopers of all time.
Yeah, we could definitely do another pod. Should we get you on the couch?
I'm with it. I'm with
uh,
it.
um, but yeah, I was gonna ask you another question. I think I'm gonna say that for another time. Because I feel like this question was, talk about Kobe Bryant and stuff like that. But I feel like that's a question that we could get really in depth with. But anything you want to say to the Hoop Ties family? I really appreciate you coming on and really, just spewing your knowledge, man. It's not too many times we get guys on here that just want to talk about the love of the game of
Yeah.
basketball and just the
Nah,
purity
man.
of the game. So
That's it, man. I feel like the game today is like it's been poisoned in a way with narratives. It's been poisoned with stats. It's been poisoned with so much negativity, man. And I feel like that joy of consuming the game is gone. That's why I just try to do my part. A lot of people don't understand. Like,
yeah,
I don't really have technically an agenda, but I don't have, I mean, obviously I like certain guys, but on
yeah,
the court, everyone does. But like more so than anything, I try to appreciate really the essence of the game. And that's what we spoke on today is just like,
yeah,
very things that make basketball what it is, man. The
mm,
skills, the the makeup of a player, the makeup of a team, the makeup of just the art form, man. And it's just there's an appreciation to it way beyond the numbers. There's an understanding to it way beyond stats and numbers and accolades and all these great narratives that people come up with, man. The
yeah,
real basketball talk. I want it to be great. I want it to
yeah,
be, I want real basketball to be celebrated. I want real basketball coverage to be celebrated. A lot of times now I'm just looking at my phone and saying this isn't even basketball. Like I just
yeah,
scroll past, man, and I just got so tired of it. But I try to do my part where it's just we talking basketball, and we talking deep game. We may not always agree, but if the
yeah.
combo's on the right track, then it's fun to have, man. Always.
Mm. Definitely, definitely. That's Ekam from Ball Don't Stop. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you.
Make sure you go. No problem. Make sure you guys go like, comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Once again, this is Slam Presents Hoop Ties with the one and only Ahmad K. Smith. We're gone. Peace.